This is Success Mentorship class number 279. And our topic for today is claiming your own independence. Claiming your own independence. Thanks for joining us on Instagram. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. And of course, the super achievers are right here on Zoom for our discussion in our class. Remind everybody that our topics are based on and taken from our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. This is the Success Bible, the book that can help you go from where you are to where you want to be. And also remind you that this month, July, kicking off this month, we have some interesting stuff going on. We have actually autographed 144 copies of the 12 Universal Laws of Success and set them up to be personally given to 144 people who buy the Success Toolbox. So be sure to go to our website, herbertharris.com, click on the Success Toolbox. And when you get it, normally it's a digital package, but for this month, when you get it, you'll get a copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success, and it'll be autographed personally by me for you. So be sure to go to our website, herbertharris.com, and click on the tab Success Toolbox. As we get into today and get into our message, it is important that we center ourselves on our thoughts and on our consciousness. And to do this, let us do a meditation, a centering meditation to prepare us for this message. Just close your outer eyes, open your inner eyes, take a deep breath, hold it, let it out slowly. Take a deep breath, hold it, let it out slowly. And in this space of peace and relaxation, we are at peace with ourselves. I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. Once more. I am at peace with myself. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this space of peace and relaxation, our minds are open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Once more, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let that sink in. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Wow. Oh, what a beautiful, what a magnificent day. This topic, claiming your own independence, is really one that I guess is timely for many reasons. One, it's the 4th of July weekend. But two, it's the beginning of the second half of the year. And I chose this topic because of the season, but also because at this point in time and space, many of us are at a point where we are not excited about where we are in our lives, in our business, in our relationships, in our situation right now. That as we go into the second half of the year, we've got to make some changes. This idea of independence, this idea of freedom, Nelson Mandela said something very profound. He said, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. it's not enough just to cast off your own chains, but it's about how you live your life in the context of the world, in the context of others, and what you do to help them become free. Bob Marley said, it's better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life. It's better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life. And so this weekend, this idea of independence, let's look at this. This idea of independence, the definition of independence is to be free from control or influence of other people. Free from control or influence of other people. We often talk about financial freedom. Someone say, well, what is financial freedom? Financial freedom is where the income from your investments, from your business, is sufficient to take care of you at the level, the lifestyle that you're accustomed, with very little additional input from yourself. So when we look at this idea of Independence Day, of claiming your own independence, I want to give an analogy. You know, the holiday is around the Declaration of Independence, what the United States did to declare its independence from Great Britain. And this idea of a Declaration of Independence is to explicitly state, to announce and proclaim a desire to be free from the control or influence of others. So the idea of the Declaration of Independence was to announce to the world, to England, to Great Britain, and specifically, that America, this country, this new country, wanted to be free. And in doing so, it did follow the process. It let, we call it the Declaration of Independence. And there are basically 4 parts to that Declaration of Independence. One part declares the reasons that the American colonies desire to leave the umbrella of Great Britain. Part 2, the preamble, it states the principles on which this determination is made. It says that certain principles are self-evident. In other words, that whatever transformation is taking place, it is based on thoughts, on principles. The third part, it lays out the grievances against the king and the fact that they have tried to handle these grievances and it's been unsuccessful. And part 4 is where the colonists declare their right to be free. You know how, I'll read a little bit of it. It says, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the bonds that have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to their opinion of mankind requires that we declare the causes for which led to this separation. And so I like to use that model because in our own personal independence, we basically follow the same process. When we look at independence as a personal experience, the country has done its thing. And, you know, where we are right now, politically and economically, that's a whole nother topic. You know, as you read the words of the Declaration of Independence, you think about the people who were there and the different vibrations. You know, one of the things, and I'm just going to do a little aside here, but because it's becoming so clear, one of the elements of in forming this country, one of the issues was slavery. And if you read the writings of Thomas Jefferson, this issue was so profound that it had to be left out. That issue was so strong that if that issue were put in there, then the southern states would probably not have joined, and there would have been no Declaration of Independence. But there's a writer, Olivia S. Benson, and she wrote a book about her father, and she said something profound. She said, "Things buried never die. Things buried never die." And so in burying this issue, for example, of slavery, it keeps reoccurring and reoccurring. And now 200 and some years later, we're still going through that transformation. So I just put that there as an analogy in your own personal independence. Anything that you bury, any emotion, any trauma, any hurt that you bury does not die and can impact your future. And so let's look at this idea. You notice in the Declaration of Independence, they declared it. And when you declare the same principle in the Bible, in Genesis, the principle of creation, it says, in the beginning, God said, let there be light. In other words, when you begin to create the life of your dreams, you have to declare it, you have to state it. The power of command, the law of command says you will have whatsoever you say. And so when the Creator said, let there be light, and it said, and there was light. And so when you say, let there be joy, you have the power to manifest joy. And so you declare that, you stated that this is what you want. I put a different spin on it. I say, claim your independence. And the thought is that the fact that you're alive, the fact that you're a human being, you are automatically entitled to all of these things, to freedom, to joy, to happiness, to abundance. And so when you claim your independence, you're claiming your birthright. It's like the prodigal son. And many of us, we are in many ways the prodigal son, the prodigal daughter. When the prodigal son had failed in every way possible and found himself stuck in the pig pen of life, waiting for the hogs to finish eating so he could eat what they left. Now that's pretty bad. We can be in the pig pens of life, but we have a same power that the prodigal son did. In the pig pens of life, he said, I will arise and go to my father. And so in this idea of claiming your own independence is whatever is going on in your life. If you're in the pig pens of life, you can claim your heirship to the Creator. God created you to be joyful. God created you to be happy. God created you to live an abundant life. And so when we look at where we are right now, this year, starting the second half of the year, if we're not where we want to be, and for many of us, it's real clear, we're stuck. We're stuck in a bondage. The colonists had a bondage. We have a personal bondage, a bondage of failure, a bondage of disappointment, a bondage of past traumas. We have these things weighing down on us, but we can claim our independence. So your personal independence says this, that if you're not where you are right now, then you must do a checkup from the neck up. And when you read what the colonists did, they laid out the reasons that they wanted to break away and become independent. And so you have to do a checkup from the neck up. In other words, right now, you have to check up on your thoughts, because your thoughts are the blueprint for your life. You have to do a checkup from the heart down, because your heart is the emotion, the source of vibration that attracts into your life all that you desire. Your feeling nature, Reverend Ike said, feeling gets the blessing. Whatever you feel manifests in your life. And so at this point in time and space, it is important that we look at what I call the first awareness, the awareness of condition. Wherever you are right now, whatever's going on in your life right now, you have to say, look, I'm sick and tired of being stuck. I'm sick and tired of being broke. I'm sick and tired of being unhappy. I'm sick and tired of being abused. I'm sick and tired of being captured by this drug, these cigarettes, this whatever. These things are determining my life. And I think Fannie Lou Hamer says at some point in life, you have to just be sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that is when you make a declaration for change. So this awareness of condition says, be honest with yourself. If your birthright is wealth, joy, and happiness, then why don't you have it? And so when we claim our own personal independence, we have to look at where we are right now. We have to enumerate the things that are holding us back. And so this awareness of condition says, look at the thoughts, look at the emotions, look at the relationships, look at the habits that are holding you back. And once you face ourselves and we deal with honesty with our personal condition, then we can now all right, here, we have some people joining us. Let me let them in. Yes, great. Then when we look at where we are right now, this awareness of our condition, then we have to know something. When we say claim your birthright, and it's called an awareness of purpose. So when the prodigal son was suffering, he said, it's not about who I am, because right now I'm in the pig pens of life. It's not about who you are, because right now your life is not giving you what you want, but it's about whose you are. And I call that an awareness of purpose. And that awareness of purpose says, I am created by an all-powerful, all-knowing being. And I'm entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to joy, to abundance, and all the good things for which I was created. And so this idea of the awareness of purpose says, now, if that's who we are, we just have to claim our birthright. So identify those things that are holding you back. Just as the colonists enumerated their complaints, you enumerate the things that are blocking you, the things that are holding you back, and then claim your freedom from those things. You claim happiness, claim abundance. And see, the interesting thing is this, you claim it by declaring it. God claimed light when he said, let there be light. You claim abundance when you say, let there be abundance. So step one is to be honest with yourself. Awareness of condition and awareness of purpose. Step two, when we recognize that awareness of purpose, then we really say, I was not put here to suffer like this. I was not put here to be the prodigal son, to be in the pig pens of life. Whatever your condition is, that's not who you are, and that's not what you were created to be. And then comes what we call the awareness of execution. And the awareness of execution says, because of my birthright, I have the power to transform my life. I have the power to become anything I want to be. Earl Nightingale says we become what we think about most of the time. So if we're in a bad condition, if we're not happy, if we're broke, if we're busted and disgusted, it's our thinking that lays it out. So this awareness of execution says, well, how do you fix it? How do you change it? What can you do now to transform your life from what it has been these first 6 months to transform the results that you've been getting these first 6 months and now get some new and different results. The interesting thing is this: if you don't change it, it will stay the same and get worse. And this awareness of execution, step one, change your thoughts. Your thoughts are the blueprint for your reality. So recognize that wherever you are right now is a result of your thinking. And sometimes that's hard. When you're broke, you're like, how did my thinking lead me here? Well, maybe your thinking gave into immediate gratification. Money you should have saved for a rainy day, you spent on a pair of shoes or a pocketbook or a car that you didn't need. The second key is we have to transform our emotions. Emotions are like magnets. Feeling gets the blessing. Your emotions are the energy, the vibration that attracts into your life the experience that you're having right now. We have to transform our habits. Our habits are created by us in the beginning, but in the end, our habits create us. We create a habit of disorganization, and then over time, disorganization defines us. There's some people that say, you're always late. Sandra used to say that to me. I used to always be late. And it was weird. It's like, I always started out with the best intentions, and maybe some of you experience this. Maybe you find yourself always late. I always started out with the best intentions, but somehow the traffic of the situation, I was always late. So you got to change those habits. And then fourth, and I'll say most powerfully, you have to change your relationships. Because through the mastermind principle, your relationships give you the ability to connect with other human beings to create a vibration that's more powerful than you have individually in your capacity, in your individual capacity. So let's look at the steps we take to actually do this. Henry Ford said something very powerful. He said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That whatever the thoughts that you permit to come into your life, these are the blueprint for your life. These are the blueprint for the experience of life that you're having. And so how do we change negative thinking into positive thinking so that our family is happy, so that everybody around us is full of joy? We have to start identifying positive thoughts. It's very interesting. We always say, think positive. But what are some positive thoughts? I challenge you to make a list of positive thoughts. Thoughts of abundance. Thoughts of good health. Thoughts of unlimited possibilities. Thoughts of growth. Thoughts of beauty. We know some of the negative thoughts: lack, limitation. So as an example of what can you do after this to declare your declaration, make a list of positive thoughts and start that process of reprogramming your life. In chapter 3 and chapter 4, the 12 universal laws of success, we say the law of command. The law of command says you have whatsoever you say it. So start speaking thoughts that are positive. To declare, to claim your own independence, you have to address your emotions. You must replace those negative emotions. Negative emotions are like weeds. So you must replace those negative emotions with positive emotions. Negative emotions like fear, like insecurity. Between those two emotions, you can be captured for life. The interesting thing about emotions is like weeds. They constantly come up. If no matter, you may be a master gardener with all the techniques and all the fertilizer, but if you notice, if you can clear the weeds away today, and 2 days later you come back, they're growing again. And so as you claim your independence, take charge of your emotions. Changing negative emotions of fear to positive emotions of confidence, to positive emotions of faith. Change negative emotions of insecurity to confidence and courage. You see, your emotions are most powerful. You look at something like the emotion of fear. The emotion of fear affects everything in your body. Fear is such a positive emotion, it can make you sick. There was a study done once, and someone said that more people have heart attacks on 10 o'clock on Monday morning because they fear. They hate going to work. They hate going back to the thing that they've been doing for the last 30, 40, 50 years. You see, once we manage our emotions, emotions are the secret power. Emotions can be the wind beneath your wings. So when you have faith, say faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, when you have faith, and that deep emotional faith that no matter what manifests, when you're the prodigal son there in the pig pen of life, if you have faith that if you look up to your source, you can get out of that situation. So emotions must spend some time, make a list of all of the negative emotions that have been impacting you. It's important to see that. Somebody said, just focus on the positive. Well, you try to have a garden where you just focus on the flowers and don't handle the weeds. Trust me, that garden will die. You notice if you don't do something, weeds will literally consume the garden until you see no flowers. So when your emotions can be the wind beneath your wings, but it can also be the lead within your shoes. Sometimes traumatic emotions are like lead in our shoes that keep us ever from flying, from rising to our true potential, from claiming our birthright of greatness. Fear, doubt, insecurity, all of these negative emotions must be replaced. It's not enough to pull them up. Think about it. Once you pull up those weeds in the garden, plant flowers. I guess it's the law of displacement. You got to put something there to combat that negative side. The yin-yang aspect of the universe says that there will always be a negative manifestation. That for all the good that you do, there will always be negativities attracted, but you must focus on the good and constantly pull up the negative. Focus on. So as an assignment, make a list of negative emotions that are holding you back that you need to get rid of, and then make a list of positive emotions. It's very interesting. I recommend that you go online and just ask for a list of negative emotions, a list of positive emotions. It's very interesting that we don't normally think of them. They don't normally come to the forefront of our mind. So it's important that we do that. Because once you read the positive emotion, you go like, oh yeah, I can shoot for that. I can work on that. To claim your independence, claim your freedom from bad habits, from the habit of procrastination. Procrastination is a habit you develop over years. Procrastination is the thief of dreams. Until you overcome the habit of procrastination and replace it with the habit of do it now, you will be stuck. The habit of disorganization. Overcome the habit of disorganization. You always spend your time looking for stuff. You know, God has there are two powerful gifts we have. Freedom of time, and freedom of thought. That idea, that the freedom of time is God's gift to us. So what we do with that time, the choices we make about how we handle that time impacts everything else. So let's look at some positive habits that we can develop. How about the habit of excellence? That whatever you do it with all your might. Dr. King said, if you're a street sweeper, then you be the very best street speaker in the world. Your streets are so clean that people can eat off of your streets. Develop the habit of completion. That whatever you set out to do, you get it done. I had a driver once named Russell Hempfield. Rest his soul. Russell Hempfield was a young man that had gone through serious tragedy. When he was 9 years old, his mother was jailed for killing somebody. He was in the deep South, and in those days when people were put in jail, your family had to bring you some food to give you something good to eat other than that slop they gave you in jail. His mother ran a numbers business, so he had to run her numbers business and get food to him at 9 years old. So he was tough. The one thing he knew about Russell, failure was not an option. So the habit of completion, whatever the task, to complete it. How about the habit of timeliness? The value of that greatest gift that God has given us. How about the habit of responsibility? You know, so many times anytime we deny, shift the blame or blame stuff on other people, we can't fix it. So the habit of responsibility gives you now the power to do anything you need to do to create the life you want. And then finally, we have to claim our independence. We have to change our relationships. We have to operate with relationships that empower us, that uplift us. If there's anybody in your life that you have to make excuses for, get rid of them. You've heard people, well, Johnny's not that way all the time. He's really a good person. He's gruff. I mean, but he really doesn't mean it. If there's anybody that you have to say to other people they don't mean it, they're wrong to be in your life. If there's any excuse you give to yourself, and this is the worst of all, when you give yourself an excuse about what somebody has done, oh, it's okay. I mean, I know they love me. Get away from that person. Anything you accept, you get. The power of relationships, there's a great saying, it said, birds of a feather flock together. And that's the way to make things better. That's when they're positive birds. But you have negative people flocking together make things worse. So let us look today, this Independence Day, this day to claim our independence. Let us look at that awareness of self. The GPS only works when you have a location and a destination. And until you have that awareness of your condition, you will stay stuck. Let's look at that awareness of purpose, that we are the created beings of an all-powerful, all-knowing God, created to have a good, joyful, abundant life. Look at that awareness of execution, that we have the power to do anything that must be done to transform our lives, that nothing is impossible. Even the word impossible says, I'm possible. And that we use this execution, we use this plan, this power to change our thoughts, replacing negative limiting thoughts with positive empowering thoughts, to change our emotions, changing negative emotions of fear and doubt to positive emotions of faith and confidence, to change our habits, negative habits of disorganization and lack of and tardiness, to habits of organization, habits of intention, habits of completion, habits of excellence. And then we transform the people we have from the people who tolerate us, who abuse us, who suck our energy, to people who lift us up, to people who are excited when they see us walk in the room, to people who also become the wind beneath your wings, pushing you to higher possibilities. So this Independence Day, we have the power to claim our independence as our birthright, to claim our independence to create wealth, to claim our independence to create joy, to claim our independence to create happiness, to claim our independence to create abundance, to claim our independence to create a life that is congruent with our purpose, knowing that we can be anything we want to be, do anything we want to do, and have anything we desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Just take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your presence. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook, and of course, our super achievers here on Zoom for our discussion. Be sure to visit our website, herbertharris.com. If you want to make this year different, you got to do something. You got to take action. Go to our website and click on the tab Success Toolbox. Get that toolbox because trust me, it has everything you need to get anything you want. Go check it out. And when you get it this month, we'll send you that autographed copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. So you can write in it, you can hug it, you can sleep with it. You have the power to create your life exactly the way you want it to be. Live a life of design, designed by you, knowing the awareness of purpose, who you are, whose you are, and what you're about. And so it is.